Hi, and welcome back to another edition of Girls Talk 9.0, where we candidly talk about the horror film pick of the week and occasionally the topic du jour. Today, we're going to talk about the 2023 French horror film Infested, directed by Sebastian Vanacek. My name is Whaley Hollow. With me, the notorious note taker, Nanya. And also the sensational Sunchild. Hello, ladies. Now, today is Super Bowl Sunday,
Mhm.
right? So we'll see. I'm not even sure who's playing, but may the best man win. You
The
guys,
Chiefs and the Eagles.
Chiefs and
Yeah,
Eagles, you guys, either one of those fans?
I know a lot of Eagles fans, and I
I
knew
say I know a lot of Eagles fans, but that's it's Philly. So
right. I know.
Kansas City was a Johnny come lately. Once they got Mahomes, everybody became a Kansas City fan. But there've been Eagles fans since like the 20s, probably. I don't know when the league started, but there's been Eagle fans forever.
Gotcha. So it should be good. I mean, what's the halftime? I don't even know who's performing on the halftime.
Kendrick Lamar is the
Oh,
halftime. You
okay.
know, I don't dislike Kendrick Lamar. I don't know any of his music though.
I think I heard something I would know it because his name is very familiar.
I know one song.
But well,
I know the
okay.
most recent song that got really popular, like that, something like that. Oh no, no, not like that. It's called "They're Not Like Us."
They not like us.
But beyond that, maybe a song here, there. He had a scissor song that was real
Okay,
popular.
obviously I don't know him either. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like, yeah, I don't listen to rap like that. I don't know who's out and who's not.
No, well, hopefully the commercials are good. Before the commercials used to be the thing that drew you to the game, actually. And then they progressively got worse, but hopefully they'll get better this time. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
I,
unless Bruno Mars pops out,
Oh
I'm not, my
man.
my hopes are not high.
Yeah, yeah. I'd be all over it if he showed up. Oh my God, I love him.
He's just such a great performer at the Super Bowl too.
He is, he is. And he just exudes so much positive energy. Like when you see him, you just want to, okay, okay, whether you know this or not, just something about his energy is just amazing.
He makes you feel like you want to join in
You
because he's
do.
so exuberant. He's like, look at
Exactly.
me, I'm dancing, let's have fun. He's just so into it that you just want to jump up and start doing
That's
some of his
it.
little corny dances. Yeah,
That's it.
he's quite the entertainer.
100%. All right. So, what is this film about? Again, it's called Infested. Really, in a very high level, it's just a film about these tenants in this French apartment building that are battling a spider infestation. So, what are my thoughts about it? I do believe the acting was really done well. I believed all the characters. I thought they all did a great job. I think it's a challenge to try to do a movie in a contained spot. So it was just in that building and just a few floors. And so you really have to be very creative and very good at what you do to make that believable. So I thought they did an okay job with that. It felt very long. And I do believe there were multiple times where I said, okay, the movie could end here. Okay, well, it could end here. Well, maybe it should end here because it just felt like it was long and there were just multiple opportunities to end the movie. But I guess they had a lot to say. This is this guy's debut, I believe. So I think he did a good job for his debut. Um, so yeah, I also felt like I know we have all kinds of alien invasions and arachnophobia, but I just felt like, okay, enough already with the spiders. Like, kill these things and move on. It just felt like, I don't know, it just felt like so long of a movie for just spiders. So I don't know. That was just my take on it. Anybody else? What do you think?
I love the music. The music,
Yes,
the music was really good, and it really
good
fit.
music.
Yeah, French rap sounds better than the current rap here.
It was very good.
I don't know if I should have hated it, but I was like, just the fact that it was French, it was like, oh, they're French rapping. It sounded kind of enticing.
Yeah,
Definitely sounded cool. So I love the music. I am with you. I thought the acting was good. I was very distracted trying to read and watch. I don't know what's going on with my multitasking these days, but I was distracted. I wanted to read what they were saying and then, you know, capture the essence of how they felt about what they were saying, and it was a little distracting for me. But I do feel like the acting was good, and I don't believe I've ever seen any of them before. Young people that did a really good job.
I will say with I'm glad you brought up the dialogue because there's subtitles, and it's not your average, or I should say average, but it's not your typical um, formal French, right? Because there was a lot of colloquialism, if I say, because when I was reading the subtitles and what little bit they did have, I don't know about you guys, but when I saw it, half the subtitles were missing. So if you didn't know any French or you couldn't pick up on one or two words, or didn't get the gist, you probably missed a lot of the conversation. So just be noteful that, yeah, the subtitles are there, and I felt like it missed half the conversation most of the time. Nanya, what do you think? Wait, Sunchild, you good? You done or
I'm good. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. What do you think, Nanya?
It's gonna be a short review today, I can tell. Um, I I don't know. I mean, this took me to the French English dictionary, and I looked up two words, and lo and behold, it was the same word in English as it was in French.
So
Terrible, horrible. So I know two French words now. Terrible, horrible, affreux. It was horrible. What it felt like to me, and I do give the fact they had a decent production quality. I thought the acting was fine.
Mhm.
I thought the plot was mediocre. We've seen it a million times already. And I thought the dialogue at times was painful and weird. But what it felt like to me was as if, a French director said, let me remake a 1991 American blockbuster. Because that's what it felt like. It felt like it came out in the 90s. Something
It did
about it
feel a
just
little
felt
dated.
like we've
Yeah.
seen this a million times. And in terms of like it being in one location, there have been so many good movies that have done it better. Quarantine is probably one of the best horror movies out there,
True,
and it was all in one building.
true.
But instead of building upon some of the really good movies that have done it in the past, I felt like it was like a lazy, almost a parody. Sometimes it felt like
Hmm.
just nothing original or innovative. It made no sense that they couldn't get out of this building. They were because it wasn't even clear to me that they were quarantined. They made the cops look like the Keystone cops. They made the cops look like complete bully tyrant buffoons, and I didn't understand that. They apparently don't have windows in this apartment complex in France because nobody ever thought to look out the window to see, are there police outside? What's going on outside? So instead, they just sat around inside, oblivious to what was going on. Are we stuck in the apartment? We don't know. Should we go out? I don't know. What about you? It just made no sense. This is like 2025. Come on. Where are the cell phones? Where's the media? Your cell phone still works in 2025. Why aren't you seeing, there's a building on lockdown in the fourth arrondissement of France, of Paris, wherever they were? Nothing. So it felt like it feels less believable. Like back in the 90s when people were running around scampering, it made more sense because everybody didn't have cell phones, you didn't have access to the internet as readily. Now those kind of obstacles have to be addressed in a movie for it to be scary. Otherwise, it just looks like, what are you doing? It felt contrived and forced. It was like there's no way they couldn't have gotten out of this building in 2.5 seconds. But it was like they just kept trying to make it seem like, oh, let's pretend like we don't understand how they can get out so we can drag the movie on. I felt like the movie definitely dragged on. There was one point where I thought the movie, in fact, I didn't think the movie was over. I was positive the movie was over. I was cheering. I think we all had that same point when the cops showed up, and I was like, hallelujah, the movie is over.
Oh, I
And
did
it
too.
just dragged on another 20 minutes. I was like, I stopped and I was like, how are you going to fill 20 more minutes of this nonsense? I just wasn't. I also thought there was a weird dynamic between the main characters. They didn't seem like they would be friends. There was just no,
Chemistry.
yeah, there was just a weird camaraderie. It wasn't camaraderie. There was just a weird relationship between them that I just couldn't get on board with. And then there were a couple of like side dialogues that felt out of place. It's, and I understand they always like to throw this into a movie. You're in the middle of something and suddenly you have this, philosophical epiphany, and suddenly you want to share your heart to somebody else. And I'm like, there's spiders. Like, can we have the conversation when we're outside? I never understood that in these movies, because I'm not having that conversation. You come and talk to me about your heart's desire. We're holding it until we get outside.
We're moving and talking. We're moving and
We're
talking.
moving and
We're not
talking.
standing still.
I'm listening, but we're working while we're listening.
I
Exactly.
got you done and walk. You can do two things at a time.
That's right. You can walk and talk.
That's right.
Exactly. So I didn't care for it at all. I found it baffling, as I said, only because it felt like, we've treaded this territory so many times. You have to bring something fresh to it, and they didn't bring anything fresh. And in fact, if they even dressed like the 90s, it would have made the movie more believable.
Okay. Do you want to start from the top?
Do we?
Yeah, we do. Okay.
I do, because I need some clarity with this.
Okay. Well, let's see if we can get some clarity.
Yeah.
So obviously obviously not obvious, but the opening scene was in Dubai, or I think they said Dubai. So it looked like some Arab country where these guys were smoking out something. I assumed it was the spiders. Maybe that's what they were actually looking for, so they could collect them and sell them.
That's
But
what I assumed.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's okay.
I assumed, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so what happened is, as they were doing that, one of the guys gets bitten. They collect some, and I guess the impact of getting, or the result of getting bitten, is you get chopped up, because that's what they did to the guy that got bitten. They were like, yeah, we're too far from a hospital. We're in the desert, chop, chop. So they just kind of killed him. And maybe that's the answer. Maybe there's no solution to this. I don't know. But that's what they did with that guy. And so then they took this spider, and it ended up in a pawn shop in France. And this guy, Caleb, I'm not sure how he pronounces his name, is like, what would you call him? He likes to collect um, reptiles, I guess. The spider's not a reptile though, right? But he likes to collect those kind of creepy, crawly animals. So he goes to this pawn shop, gets it, and brings it home. Right? So far, so good.
Yes, I think though his main side hustle is he sells sneakers.
Sneakers, yeah.
Rare sneakers. And I think the spider was not an afterthought, but he found out about the spider after he was in the back rooms of a shop to buy sneakers. Remember, he had gone there for a different purpose.
Oh,
then when he
gotcha.
got there,
Oh,
he saw
yes.
a spider, and the guy said, "This is a very rare, deadly
You're
spider."
correct.
He's like, "Well, I want it."
You're correct. And the guy kind of tongue in cheek said, it might be poisonous. Like, he didn't really know. He just wanted it out. But yeah, and it obviously ended up being that. But and so then I don't even know, he did end up getting sneakers. And then he goes to the building, and there's a cleaning woman there, I'm sorry, custodial, whatever they call these days. And I don't know what these kids were doing. They were putting firecrackers in her cart. I didn't understand that at all, and why she took their backpack. That whole piece was, I just couldn't understand what any of that was about.
It was odd.
Back to the 90s. Back to the 90s.
Okay.
I guess they were, being disrespectful to her, and she, retaliated in the only way that she knew how, which was to take their backpacks. But it just felt, again, contrived to me.
Yeah, and I think Khalib, he had this side of, what he tried to do is continue his quote mom's legend of loving thy neighbor, if you will. So he wanted to make sure that everybody in the apartment complex was um, taken care of, or whatever. So he kind of stepped in and tried to help her, because I think he felt like he had to carry on what he thought his mom would have done.
Which, to jump back, his mom, leading into the movie, his mom apparently had passed away recently, or years back. I'm not even clear.
Yeah, a couple of years, I think it was.
Okay. And he lived there with his sister.
Correct. And I got the impression that his sister was trying to upgrade the apartment so they can sell it and get out. But he, of course, kind of wanted to stay, because he felt like if he left, he'd leave his mom's presence there. I don't know, whatever. But I tell you what, I would be trying to get out, because I'm not going in the basement turning a timer for the light switch. It's just not happening. Because I mean, that just seemed like what year are we in where you have to go down and twist a knob to get 60 seconds of light? I just,
It was different, that's for sure.
I was like,
What world are we in, or what year
no,
are we in that 520 somethings have zero cell phones between them?
no, they
Bull.
all had cell phones. Remember, because they lit
Well,
them up.
no, one lit them up. One lit it up going through that tunnel.
Yeah, one.
Yeah.
One girl, and that was the first time she pulled it out.
And one girl was a cop.
Well, she was a municipal cop. They kind of corrected that.
Oh, that's what she was. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. So I'm trying to get to where maybe it started to. So anyway, Khalid gets his spider. He puts it in his room, and there's a party going on that he wants to attend. So he leaves the spider in the room, comes back though, and notices that the spider and it was not in the box that he put it in, and it had already started creating a cocoon. He tried to find it, couldn't find it. So he intentionally put his shirt under the door to his room because he probably felt something could go wrong. And then they all went off to a party, which I thought was interesting that they all kind of, I don't know where this lady came from. Maybe she was the mother's friend, the party that they went to, and they,
There's nothing in this movie I cared about.
yeah.
I don't care if it was just a friend, if it was his mother back from the grave. I wasn't paying attention at that point because I knew I didn't like the movie. But at one point though that okay, you tell it how you want to tell it.
No, no, no. Jump in, please.
I thought he had taken. Did he take the pair of sneakers with him when he left?
I didn't see anything in his hands, but I don't know. To the,
Okay.
you mean to the party?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the sequence of events, but again, like I said, at that point I was like tuned out. So
I think he
I don't
took
know.
a relic from his mom to give to the woman for her
Okay.
birthday. He did do
Okay.
that. I mean, he had a good soul. I liked his soul, his what he was trying to do. I mean, I thought that was good. Um, but I guess the spider gets out. The spider gets into someone else's apartment, right? The guy who was working out with the music really loud. And I think the spider bites the guy or something, and
And
I don't know.
I the
And the
shoe.
dog eats the spider or some shit.
I
Oh,
think the spider got out of the box that it was in and it started
Correct.
immediately to reproduce.
Correct.
So there was still spiders in his room, but
yeah.
one of them also got into another apartment complex.
I mean, he didn't even take note of that hole in the shoebox. And I'm like, that would have been the first thing that I would have noticed. Like,
Well,
how
he
did,
did because that's how he knew the cocoon was in there. And then he looked at the hole. He's like, that's how it got out. That's why he was looking in his room for the
I
spider.
mean, I feel like when he initially looked at it, he was like looking and moving stuff around. Like, you
It
don't see this
was.
ginormous hole to the side. Like, that would have been the first thing I did. And I wouldn't have
Yeah.
picked it. Like, you already know it got out. And what kind of spider can dig that kind of hole? I mean, there were certain,
I mean,
And can create that kind of cocoon that quickly.
right,
that
right.
special
I
spider.
know just certain things that were like the woman spraying, and then she proceeds to put her head up in the attic where she just sprayed. I'm like, that little, you know, handkerchief
Handkerchief. She put a little handkerchief or
not gonna help you. It's not. I mean, I just felt like it was kind of crazy. Like spray and then close the thing, and let it sit up there and kill them for a while. Don't stick your head up in there. I mean, I don't know. I was like, wow, that was pretty wild. That would not have been something that I would have done.
but I think the only reason why the cops came, I'm not sure who called the cops, but the guy, they were trying to
Do you
reach
want
the
to go?
guy.
Do we want to follow the progression of the story?
Well, that's okay, but okay, so wait a minute.
Just because you and I had a conversation about this offline. So before the cops got there, a lot has happened.
Right, the party, right?
Right. And
The huh?
two people have been attacked by the spiders at this point.
The guy with the
One of the
lead,
spiders made its way into another person's apartment,
correct?
and one of the spiders made its way into a sneaker that he then sold to somebody.
Right. When the kid put the sneaker on.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And that's what, oh, it was his dog that ate the spider. I don't know whose dog ate the spider.
I think it was,
Somebody's dog ate the spider.
It was his dog. It was the guy. So one of the so do you want go ahead, tell the story.
No,
But
no.
I think that's important though. So he like I said, his side hustle was selling sneakers, and the spider that reproduced, apparently some of the spiders made its way into a sneaker that he then sold to another gentleman. The gentleman left his apartment, went down, went into the basement. I'm not sure why he went into the basement with his dog. I don't know if he was washing something, but he went to try on the sneakers and he got bit by one of the spiders. And then the dog, which no dog in the history of dogs has done this, but went over and decided he was going to eat that spider that was running around like that. So the dog ate the spider and ran up the steps. And the guy who um, started exhibiting symptoms. His skin started blistering. He tried to crawl out of his way out of the basement and ended up dying right there in the basement. The dog flew up the steps and out.
Right. And then the other guy with the weights, spiders actually got into his room as well. But at that point, then maybe they noticed something was going on, right? Because they had started banging on his door, telling him to get out, and he just wouldn't open the door.
Yeah,
Right.
I
So
think yeah, because I think the guy who tried the sneakers, I think was the first person who was discovered, wasn't he?
no, did they ever even discover him? I thought they discovered the guy down the hall because the dog was barking and no one was answering the door. And so they kicked the door down. Is that the same guy?
No,
Did he make it to
that was the
the,
sneaker guy. All
so he
right.
made it to his apartment?
He did. I'm sorry. I thought he died in the basement. You're right. He made it to his apartment. The guy who
Okay.
was playing loud music, his father or somebody was in the apartment with him.
He sure was.
So, but this is how uninteresting the movie was. I literally watched this movie 2 nights ago, and I could tell you 50% of it because I was not at all. I was disengaged early on in the movie because I was like, here we go with the stupidity again. Nobody knows how to use a cell phone. Nobody knows how to look out a window. But okay, I'll suspend belief to go along with the movie, but I just lost interest. But yes, so two people had already died from this before the cops showed up.
Right. The cops showed up when that door, the guy wouldn't open the door. Somebody must have called the cops because that's when they showed up, or I'm assuming those were the cops. But they showed up and someone questions why the guy had a mask on. He's like, no, it's not a virus. So he took his mask off. But that's when they started really thinking about, oh my God, well, I don't know how they thought it was a spider, but I think Caleb or whatever his name is started thinking maybe it's the spider at this point.
I thought when they knocked the door open, they saw spiders. Because
Oh,
remember
I
they were
didn't.
all in the hallway standing there looking like, oh my God, no, that didn't
No,
happen.
no, I think they were just looking at him being dead and they were shocked.
Okay.
Yeah. And oh yeah, it was him with the shoe because when they came out, he had the one stupid sneaker on. They made a point to show that.
Yeah.
Now that
And I
you're saying
thought,
that, yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. So then I think one of the girls is working in the bathroom and she sees the spider in the bathroom and she the spider's actually too big or whatever, so she calls somebody to come in to help her, and one of the guys comes in with a glass or something, and they try to kill the spider in the bathroom. Remember that scene where he's got the broom and he's trying to kill the spider under the sink, and then the spider gets into the shower where she is, and then that's when they all run out and they tape up the bathroom, I think. Help me.
Yeah, I mean, I think the order might be a little off, but yes. So they also then find a spider in their own apartments.
I think that is their bathroom. Yeah.
it is their bathroom.
Yeah.
So one of the girls, I think it was the
Sister.
friend's. No, it wasn't the sister. It
Oh,
was
it was the cop lady.
no, the sister was the cop lady. I thought
No, no, no,
the sister
no.
was a cop. No,
No, no, it was the other
okay.
girl.
Sunchild. Any recollection?
I'm like,
So the other girl, whoever she was, then she was the one in the bathroom. Her boyfriend was the one, Jordy. So Jordy and Kayla
Correct.
were best friends from childhood, and they both shared a fascination with reptiles and spiders and things like that. She was in
Khalid
the
friend.
bathroom and she saw a spider. She screamed for them to come get it. And then, as they were trying to capture it, everybody kind of showed up in the bathroom door, trying to help this girl make it out of because she ran in the shower to hide from the spider. And while her boyfriend was trying to capture the spider, new spiders came through the vent, not the
into
vent,
the
the
shower.
drain. Yeah, the shower drain in the
Yep.
shower. So she ran out. So now they know that they're in the apartment complex. So they start trying to tape the bathroom closed. They try to start taping everything to try to keep the spiders out. Now, at this point, you'd think Caleb would have said to everybody, hey, guys, I smuggled a spider I don't know anything about into this apartment complex. So maybe that's related to it. Maybe we should call 911. Maybe we should alert authorities. But he says nothing.
No, not until they call him out on it.
Right, which I
He
thought was
eventually
a
calls him on it.
little shitty of him. But
True, true. Yeah, maybe he was a little embarrassed. I don't know, but he definitely didn't do anything. And that's when all the shit hit the fan, obviously. That's when they started, the spiders were everywhere, and their goal was to get, that's when I believe um, that's when you saw the cleaning lady downstairs, custodial woman, whatever you're gonna call her. And that's where you see the cops quarantining them, saying you guys are gonna be quarantined or whatever. Because remember, we told you you can't go home. We knew they couldn't leave when they pulled the guy out of the apartment, because that's when they said, everyone's stuck here. You're not leaving until we figure out what's going on. So we knew they were, quote, quarantined at that point. But later, you actually see them lock them in when the lady was downstairs before she made this dumb move to climb the ladder, as Sunchild said, to spray up in the attic when she knows there's a trillion spiders everywhere. I mean, she even picked one up. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not picking up a spider. I'm stepping on it, but I'm not picking it
nothing
up.
made sense. Nothing made sense.
Nope, nope. So
No.
then I think they need to get to the garage. And so their goal is to go. First, they decided they're going to go and tell everybody who is there. There's an epidemic. We need to get out. They need to get out. That's when they go knock on the guy with the music, knock on his they knock on his door and they say, we'll come back. And by the time they come back, the dad is coming out. I don't think the dad was infected, because you see later that the dad had caught all the spiders that was in his apartment. But I think because he was old, they thought, oh, he's infected, just stay away. Remember, they told him, go back in your apartment. They told the old guy. But I didn't get the impression he was infected.
I don't know if he was. I didn't care. It made no sense. The police show up. They claim that the building's quarantined. So why isn't the police telling everyone that the building's quarantined? Why are they knocking on doors telling people that there's spiders? It just made no sense. But yeah,
But
the
the
old man
cops
came
telling
out and they
everybody,
said,
yeah,
he may be infected. So they told him to go back in. But at that point, once the police had already left and had told them that they couldn't leave, they then devised a plan to try to get out through the basement. That was their goal.
through the garage, yeah,
Yes.
wherever the garage is. I don't, 15th
Somewhere down the
floor.
basement. They had to go
No,
downstairs.
they said 15th floor. So I don't know what floor they were on, but they said the
Oh,
15th
okay.
floor.
Okay.
So maybe it
Again,
was,
again, I wasn't paying attention. It looked
but
to me like
again,
they were going downstairs, but maybe they took
right,
the elevator. I
exactly.
wouldn't have cared.
Exactly. But they went through this corridor, and that's where they find out that maybe that the spiders are semi-dormant when the light's on. And so they decide, okay, we got to go down this corridor. That's the only way to get to the garage, and which I thought was to freedom. But so they took turns, not really turns, but they went in groups. Remember, the one girl said, I'll stay back because I'm the fastest. I'm more nimble than you guys. And so she kept turning the timer, and they kind of went across to the other side. And when it was her turn, for some reason, she wasn't nimble as she thought she was, because she stopped halfway instead of running through there. Um, but honestly, I thought that's what I was like, oh my God, they made it to where they think they're gonna go. End of the story.
That's what
But
I
it
thought.
didn't end there. It didn't end
That's
there.
where I said that's where I told you I thought it ended right there.
Yeah, and that was like halfway through the movie. So for me, it would have been a 45-minute movie. But what happened was they opened the door, and I don't know who was smoking them out, but somehow smoke came in the room. I don't know where that came from.
It was the police.
But they hadn't really made it to the garage yet. So the police didn't come in.
They were I thought they were close to the door going to going outside when they tried to open it and it looked like somebody had
Like through a smoke bomb in or
a
something.
smoke bomb in there, yeah.
Right. But then
It's weird. If it was the 15th floor, it's weird because I don't know how the police were all on the 15th floor behind some wall that they broke down. I don't know. That didn't make sense
listen,
to me.
none of it made sense. None
But
of it
you know,
made
I
sense.
don't live in France, so maybe it's common to have garages on the 15th floor. But
I don't know. I just know that at that point, yeah, I don't know. We know that Jordy gets, unfortunately, gets is sacrificed, not sacrificed, but he didn't. Something happened where he gets stuck. The spiders, he's stuck in a cocoon or something. So we know he didn't make it, right?
Yeah. So on their way to try to leave. And we can, I mean, I don't know that these details are going to matter, but as they're trying to leave, yes, they lose one person who gets somehow left behind and ends up getting stuck in a cocoon. And then the rest of them continue to go. The police come bombarding their way into wherever this is, this
And
15th
then
floor garage. And then
and
the
then they
police
fight.
then, well, yes, which was weird. Like I said, I don't understand why they portrayed the police as being so
Like I can't understand why
tyrannical
they were
and
fighting.
well, because the police came in and they said, the police wanted to handcuff them because they wanted to make sure that they didn't leave. And so they were like, "You're not handcuffing me. I'm leaving." So they were trying to get out, and then the police seemed to overreact and put them in handcuffs and had them sitting at the fender of a car while these bugs are running around while the police are trying to figure out what's happening.
And even before that, doesn't Khalid shoot one of the cops when they're in that tussle in that room before they can actually hit? Remember, they fight. They're actually fighting in the room, and I think Khalid, because he was choking his friend, and Khalid
Yes,
shoots
as they
him.
were
And I'm
as they were
thinking,
they were
oops,
trying to leave. The police didn't want them to leave. So they were trying to run past the police. It turned into a physical confrontation, where the police were trying to physically restrain them. Then they were like, "What? Don't hold him back." And then they started all this melee. And Caleb knocked a gun out of one of the cops' hands. Caleb picked up the gun, shot the cop. So now the cops are all going ballistic because now one of their members have been shot. So now everybody ends up in handcuffs. And then that's when they start plotting of, okay, well, we got to really try to figure out how we're going to get out of
we're gonna
this.
get out of here.
Yes.
Right,
And two
right.
of them, go ahead. Two of
And
them
then we
sleepwalk, jump
have,
in a car.
yeah, we have Khalid is strapped to, I think Matisse is his friend, and we find out that Matisse is quote bitten, if you will. So he said, "I'm going to sacrifice myself. I'm going to go over there and run through the wall." Right? He's like, "I'm gonna." That's how they get all the spiders in the quote garage, right? He says, "I'm going to run through the wall and or through the door and open it up." So he sacrifices himself. He runs through the door, and then this huge, all the spiders start coming out of that room. And of course, they're shooting all over the place and hitting nothing. And Khalib, his sister, and the other girl kind of run, and Khalib and his sister end up in the back of a van. The other girl ends up finding the keys to a car, and they jump in the car, right? I think he gets them. She finally comes up to where they are, beeps the horn. They jump in the car, and then they get to a
Turns on the
point
headlights, which then
because the spider is there. So they had to turn off the headlight so the spider would walk away. I don't know why he couldn't do that in the car.
no, they
He's
turned
like,
on the lights. He turned on the headlights, right? Because when the
that's what
lights are on,
stops
they didn't
them.
move. Yeah, exactly. So
Yes.
she turned
And
on the
then,
headlights of her car, which then shone on the car that they were in, which kept the spiders from getting to them in that little they were in the back of a van.
oh, yes, that's how they had the clearance to get into her car. Yes. And then once they get into her car, they're driving towards the exit, but there's a spider right there, right? The huge one.
And
And
then this is another stupid scene right here.
For some reason, Khalif says, "I'm going to get out of the car and then turn the light off." It's like, why can't you turn the light off in the car?
Why can't you
Why do
run
you
it
have to?
over? Why
Well,
can't
he
you
had to
run
open
it
the door. Remember, he had to
over?
open the door. He had to open the garage door. So that's why he said the spider's blocking the door. Right. They could have ran through this door. I guess I don't know, but
The
yeah,
spider was in front of the door. They could have hit
correct.
that spider, backed up, and then gone out and opened the garage door. No,
That would have been way
I
too easy.
that's
Instead,
just,
he wants to get out, stand by the spider, wait for the light to go off, and then open the door.
that's what I meant about like things being contrived. That was a simple solution. You see a spider in front of your car. The only thing between you and the garage door is the spider. You run the spider over. No, no, not them. They decide to put the car in park and have one of them get out and go walk past the spider. Why?
Right.
Why are
why?
you doing
Why?
all of that?
Yeah, I was like, is this over yet? I mean,
It's
when I
talking
made
about
you,
doing more with less. These guys are doing less with more.
right, right. When I was seeing him, at the end digging a hole for the shoebox, I'm like, this gonna go on? Like this has to be over. I can't deal anymore. Because a lot, it just did. They made stuff where they didn't have to be stuff only to progress the movie, I guess, but it didn't
Yeah.
anywhere good. It just prolonged it. It didn't really progress it. It prolonged it.
It was a long movie. And
Mm.
to Nanya's point, the philosophical piece that they threw in there was it was two, between Khalid and his sister. He didn't think his sister missed the mom, which she obviously did. She had this front, and of course, she came clean when they were about to die. And then there was a relationship between Khalid and the postal officer, or whatever you're calling her. And I don't remember something about he had one of his pets bit her brother's leg. I don't know if the kid died. I don't know why there was a issue there, but for some reason they kind of
No,
stopped talking
when
at that point.
Caleb and Jordan were kids, Caleb had a pet iguana. The pet
Yeah.
iguana bit Jordan. Jordy's leg got infected, and
Is
that
Jordy
somehow
that girl's brother?
boyfriend. The
No,
girl in
she
the
said boy.
shower, the girl who was in the shower, there was
Yes,
only
that's
one of
not
the
who
girls,
got
of the
bit.
sister. Huh?
That's not who got bit. She said my brother stuck
No,
up
she
for
didn't
you.
get. Well, then it was her brother. Then Jordy must be her brother. Jordy
Oh,
was the one that got bit.
okay.
She had the conversation with Caleb to describe why, or for Caleb to understand why he and Jordy stopped being friends. They used to be really close, right? And then they stopped being friends. And she was explaining to him why. And the story was when they were kids, Caleb had a pet iguana that bit Jordy, and Jordy ended up getting infected by it, was in the hospital. And
Right.
Caleb never went to visit Jordy when Jordy was in the hospital. And Caleb said, well, he never came to visit me when my mother died. And the girl said to him, all this time he protected you. He never ever told anybody that you were the reason he almost died. He
Right.
always told people it was something else. So she was
Right.
there trying to explain to Caleb why you and Jordy haven't been friends since you guys were kids. So he was trying to make amends with his sister. He was trying to come to an understanding as to what had happened between him and his best friend from childhood. I mean, this is me who can't even stand the movie, but I figured out, barely paying attention. But that's kind of what these side little quests were. Let me resolve this issue with this person. Let me resolve this issue with that person.
Yep.
Am I wrong? I think that's how it. I think pretty sure that's how it happened.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was her brother. Jordy was, I didn't realize that.
I didn't know if it was. You said it was her brother, so I guess it was her brother. But yeah,
She kept saying my brother, but
and
I
yeah,
thought the
and Jody was her
relationship was
brother.
between her and Khalid, why they didn't stop talking. But what you're saying makes sense, but who knows? That's probably what happened. I don't know.
That's my understanding. I mean, it was
Yeah.
pretty clear to me.
Well,
Um,
helps, but I mean, at that point, I feel like I didn't care
No,
what their problems were.
no.
I just wanted them to like figure out how to kill the spiders or how to get out, how to get away.
Wrap it up. Exactly. At that point, I'm like, just wrap it up.
Wrap it
Stop
up.
talking. Wrap it up.
Yeah, wrap
We
it up.
already had police come in and see spiders coming through a door, thousands of spiders. And what do? They pull out their assault rifles and start shooting.
Right. In a
How are
closed
you going to
area.
kill spiders with bullets? You
Yeah,
don't have enough bullets. Your
Right.
bullet, they're moving too fast. Like it just was just
It was dumb.
they portrayed the cops as being so incompetent.
yeah,
It almost made me say, why do they hate police? Like, I mean, that's how bad it was.
yeah, definitely. Didn't
Yeah. It didn't.
make any sense.
It
Like,
didn't. And the
Made no
spiders would have
sense.
gotten out, right? And if that's the case, they just released them into the whole neighborhood.
Right.
right.
I mean, and it's like, if the police can't handle it, there are agencies, government agencies. This is why it felt so like dated that you could call. Why were the police out there with guns trying to fight a epidemic, a outbreak of
Right.
poisonous spiders? Is that the hope that we have? If something gets out the zoo, all we can do is shoot at it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. We saw that in that other stupid movie that we saw when they had the little the documentaries. We know that's what people do. They just shoot at stuff and never hit them.
That's what it
Anyway,
reminded me of. VHS 1
yeah,
Beyond. Remember when I said it was so
yes.
disappointing and I was trying to figure out what word I could use to describe this one? And I went to the French American dictionary and it was the same word. And yeah, I was like terrible and horrible.
Yep.
Horrible.
Terrible. Howdy, whatever. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but it was bad.
Yeah, it was, yeah. And
Horrible.
so then they get out into Sunchild's Point. I don't know where he goes, somewhere in the woods, and he's sitting there and he buries the box with a picture of him and Jody. I don't know why it has to be in a box, but whatever, he buries that. And a spider gets on his shoulder. I don't even know if at this point, I would be killing every spider I saw, but he was good with this spider. He
I know.
actually put it in his hand.
Yeah. I didn't understand that at all. Like
Me
you just went
either.
through all this stuff with these spiders. When I seen that thing coming, I'm like, oh, it's gonna bite him. He's gonna die here, or
Well, he's
so,
at least going to kill it. None of the above.
minimally he's gonna kill it. Right now, he picks it up, he's coddling it, and sets it free or whatever. And I'm like, where am I?
I couldn't feel any empathy for him because to me, he was so selfish from the beginning of the movie to the end. Even after the spider outbreak that he caused killed two of his friends or two neighbors and his best friend from childhood, like I said, in the end, in his instinct, instead of, oh, I must stop this more people from dying, his instinct was like, oh yeah, let me just hold on to this spider because it means something to me. Fuck your feelings.
You're
Kill
right.
that thing.
Yeah.
Kill that spider.
Yeah.
Splash it right then and there. I was so done with him. I was like, this character is the one that should have been killed by the spiders. Then I would have given it maybe more than a 1. But as of now, spoiler alert.
Well, honestly, I have nothing else to say about the movie, so let's just rate it. Nanya,
A 1.
she's giving it a 1. Why is it getting a 1? Like, what gives it the 1?
Well, as I said, it just felt repetitive. It felt like we've seen this movie from 20, 30 years ago. The same types of dilemmas that were in those movies didn't seem applicable in 2025. People have cell phones, they have communications, they have light if they need it.
Yeah.
And so it just felt like so much, as Sunchild said, so much of it felt contrived to further the movie along. And it just seemed dated. It seemed dreary, depressing. To me, the characters were not, I didn't relate to any of them. And so there wasn't a lot of, there was nobody for me to cheer for. I just wanted this outbreak to end, and it ended in the stupidest way that it could have ended.
So how did it earn a 1, I guess is my question. What gave it the 1?
Because it was a movie.
Gotcha. Okay.
They showed up.
Yeah,
and the
fair.
acting, like you said, the acting was pretty good. I just thought that the plot was boring, and I thought the dialogue wasn't great.
Sunchild, what do you got?
I'm gonna give it like a half a 1, half a point, and that's for the music. Seriously, I did not, and I initially thought it was going to be not great, but I thought it was going to be better than what it was. Like the fact that I didn't really put the bar high, and it didn't even remotely come near the low bar that I set. Half a point. I mean, I would not recommend anyone watch this.
I thought it was going to be pretty good because it showed up on several folks' top 20, 2024 movies or top R movies of the year, whatever. And that's why I had actually recommended this movie. I think it showed up in somebody's top 10 list. And after like 5 minutes into the movie, I was like, no. I already have the sense that this is not going well. But by the end, I thought the only way this could have made it in your top 10 list was if you saw only 10 movies in the whole year, and this was your 10th. Then it would make sense. Otherwise, you're lying. You're capping straight. There's no way this is in the top 10. And if it is, I have 20 movies I could recommend that are better than this.
Yeah, I definitely.
You can tell I really didn't like it.
Yeah.
And I paid for it.
Oh no, how much this time?
I was gonna do the $4.99 in HD, and then I said, you know what? I'm going to only pay $3.99. No, $2.99. Excuse me. I was going to pay $4. And I only paid $3. And I got it in SD standard, and it was fine.
Oh,
But I still want my $3 back.
yeah, I don't blame you. I would want it back too. Yeah. Mm-mm.
But what did you think, Whaley? You seem to be shocked. Hey! Seem to be shocked that we we can't even muster a 1.5 between the two of us.
Listen, I thought the acting was done really well. And I don't know if it's because of directing or if because they're just good actors. I could see them going far. I just thought, I just thought that group. I don't know about all the other people, but I just thought that group, their individual roles, I thought they did a good job. So
You're right, they
and
did.
I do think, I mean, it was a movie. It wasn't that bad. So it gets a 1 for being a movie and a 1 for the acting for me. So I'm going to give it a solid 2. I'm going to give it a 2. Yeah.
Oh, all right. You
Yeah.
go, girl.
That's
You know
fair.
what's
That's
cool?
fair.
You know what's cool? I love the shape of the building. Did you see the apartment building was like a circle?
The building was.
It's so cool.
I liked watching it.
All those windows that they couldn't look out.
Okay, I didn't see sunlight in any room. It's like I couldn't
Again,
live like that. I couldn't live like that.
they spent 30 minutes trying to figure out what the police were doing outside instead of looking out the window.
Yeah, I couldn't live like that. Not, yeah.
Yeah.
And again, the whole little timer thing, that would have been, I would have been, I'm not written here. I'd rather sleep outside. This is just not.
I'd have made it out one of those windows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you never saw any of the windows in any of the rooms. So I think there were only windows on the outside. They're just painted on the outside. There were really no windows in them.
See, that would have made a better movie. If there was a scene where they ran to the window and found out that they were fake windows, they were paintings, that would have made a movie more interesting. The fact that they never even thought that there might be emergency exits to get out of the place that they wanted to get out of so bad was just strange.
Would have gave them some, but they got nothing.
They got nothing.
Nothing.
All right.
Yes, together we gave them like a 3.5, right? A 3.5.
Yeah.
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 A total score of 3.5 is not bad.
Yeah, there you go.
No. And I'm sure, I mean, I don't know what like the other
3.5 out of
IMDb,
out of
Rotten
15
Tomatoes,
points.
I don't know what those scores are, but we're typically in line with what the average scores are. So
I think this one there, I don't know either. I had higher hopes, and I thought after when I saw it, I was like, oh, French movies are okay. And then I thought as I was watching it, when's the last time I actually saw a good French film? It's been a minute. And I feel like when the ones that have been really good tend to be a little bit more highbrow. And like I said, it just felt like they were trying to remake an old Hollywood style movie. And nobody can make Hollywood style movies like Americans can. Like that we created Hollywood. And they wanted to make this blockbuster movie about a spider outbreak, but it just felt so dated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was tough to do just a spider thing in a 2-hour movie. At some point, you like squash the spider and move on. So they could have, I felt like something was missing for sure. I couldn't really pinpoint it, but there was definitely something missing. They could have done a lot more to make it a little more interesting. But anyway, those are our scores. I'm really Hollow, that's Nunya, and there's Sunchild. We thank you so much for joining us again on Girls Talk 9.0. We will see you next time. Thank you. Bye. Bye.